Hollywood is kind of very focused on this right now, and so there's, famously Ryan Reynolds has, I think his aviation gin. George Clooney has a tequila label. These
Yeah.
just
That's done very well at Casamigos.
Casamigos, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, so there's a big thing, a big kind of thing on this. So there's two ways of looking at this. I think one is these. Well, by the way, another one we should give huge credit for is Kim Kardashian with Skims.
Oh yeah, that's
right, which is like a huge, apparently like a very, everything I'm at least hearing is a very big business now. And so there's kind of two ways of looking at this. The historical way of looking at this, I think, would be sort of these are gimmicks. Which is it's like okay, fans of somebody are going to buy the thing they recommend, kind of for a while. But at the end of the day, mainly, these things are not, most consumer markets are not this. When you go to the grocery store, most of the products on the shelf are not this kind of thing. Or if you go to the clothing store, most of the products are not this. Mostly it's, most consumer products are provided by these, giant branded product conglomerates like Procter & Gamble or Unilever or Kraft Foods or, Ralph Lauren or, whatever, right? And so the sort of traditional view would be these are kind of gimmick sideshows to kind of the mainline consumer products businesses. I think there's a more aggressive argument you could be made, which is kind of where I am, which is I think maybe these sort of influencer, creator branded, kind of individually branded things, I think this might be the future of consumer products generally. And the theory on that would be that, why are there product brands? Like, why is it Kraft macaroni and cheese and not either, and by the way, not either generic macaroni and cheese, right, or not, whatever, Jack Black macaroni and cheese, right?
Yeah, right.
Or whatever. I just watched Tropic Thunder again, so he's on my mind.
That's a great movie, by the way.
I was trying to think of somebody who might endorse mac and cheese.
I think it would be banned today, though. Could they make that movie today?
It is inconceivable that they could. The movie holds up incredibly well, and it is absolutely inconceivable that it be made today. But anyway, so Jack Black is a genius in it, so it's on my mind. So why do these sort of why do these non-personalized, non-human, right? Like, Kraft or whatever, Tide or, take your pick of any of these things, Johnny Walker, Scotch, whatever, why do these sort of non-person, celebrity, non-creator, non-influencer brands exist? And the reason I think is because of the media of the era in which those brands were created.
Right.
And the
centralized media leads to brands as opposed to people.
And so, right, exactly. And so this is like, in the Mad Men era, right, from like, basically the sort of mass media era, call it from the 1930s to like the 1980s or something, with radio and television, basically the thing that you could do to build a brand was you could run TV, you could hire Don Draper and you could run TV commercials. And you just a TV commercial was like a 30-second mini drama, mini comedy, and you had a chance to get one point across, and you weren't trying for the most part to market a person, you were trying to market a product. And so you just had this like super hyper distilled, like basically single shot to be able to kind of get, Coca-Cola established or like, or whatever it was. And you had celebrities in those days, but like they weren't like front and center in this effort because just like you were just trying to get the basic message of the product out for the most part. But then that leads to this kind of very unnatural configuration where now you have individual consumers who like have a relationship with a brand, right? Like a relationship with a corporation.
With Bud Light.
Bud Light, yeah, exactly. Like my relationship with Bud Light. Like why do I have a relationship with a fake made up name for a Fortune 500 company? Like, it's like, okay, if that's all I can have, then okay, fine. But like, really, like that's my emotional affinity. Like that's just how I'm gonna kind of process things. If in the alternate, I now have a different kind of relationship I can have, and this is what they refer to as a psychologists call it parasocial relationship. If I could actually like actually I have a relationship with, where I love Ryan Reynolds movies, or, I love Deadpool, or I love Kim Kardashian, reality TV, or I love, whoever, whatever that is. Or I love my kid loves MrBeast, right? Like he's like, his like number one role model in the world, right? And so, but you can still say, look, is it a real relationship if it's not a two-way relationship? But you can also say, look, it's like a person, right? It's a relationship with a person. And so maybe in the future, maybe we're at the beginning of what is a monster wave, and we'll, be sitting here 20 years from now, and it will turn out this was basically the great transition. And in the future, the brands will actually all be individually led. Ben, what do you think of that?
I think that's probably right. It just has me thinking back. Probably the original case of this was the Air Jordans, where sneakers were always Converse or Adidas or what have you, and then Michael Jordan signed this contract with Nike, which was kind of like a distant, whatever, third in basketball shoes, or maybe fourth. And, that shoe, he negotiated, or his mother negotiated for the first time ever, a piece of the back end in exchange for the shoe being called Jordan, which was, it was Michael Jordan. I bought Michael Jordan, and that worked amazingly. And it's sort of, it's been a slow evolution, massively accelerated by social media, to get kind of all the way to what people really wanted, which is a relationship with the person who wears the shoe, not with the company that makes the shoe. And we see this on social media in a pretty big way, right? Like Andreessen Horowitz is our firm, but like you and I have way more Twitter followers than Andreessen Horowitz does, because like what is the firm? What is that compared to, who do you want the actual relationship with is kind of obvious. I think that the exciting thing to me, kind of getting back to the question, is, now the economics are actually changing. So rather than it being, a Nike shoe with like a small percentage to Michael Jordan on the back end, or a good percentage at whatever it was,
right.
It's Kim Kardashian owns Skims.
Right.
Like that's her company.
Right.
And so I think that's quite a positive evolution in the way brands work, I think. Just because it should, the value should go to the person that, this is kind of true in all the kind of creative world. You'd really like more of the value to go to the creative and less to manufacturing and distribution. Right. And historically, all the money's gone to manufacturing and distribution, and very little or a tiny amount to the creative. And that, you all kinds of stories about that. But like this seems like a clearly better world, at least in my view.
Yeah, I think so.